being able to put something on a website like YouTube or Google videos, you know, like it's all predicated on the idea that somehow this bunch of videos posted just by the public can somehow create money for the people who are running that site,
and that's,
right?
That's the thing with who benefits from the revolution in wealth creation.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not like it's like the old. It's not like the old companies in the sense of YouTube. You know what I mean? The people who actually created the architecture for YouTube were like, I believe, just like a couple guys. You know, and then they sold it to Google, who started off not too long ago as just a couple guys. You know, so like these new mega corporate institutions are brand new. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and they started in the same way. You know, that of things we're talking about, of people who were trying to fix or work on problems that they were interested in, and then came up with a product which, because they could make it available over the internet, became wildly successful.
Yeah.
The difference between the old way and the new way, for lack of a better way to refer to it, is that the cost of doing things to begin with is much, much lower. You know, like whereas like, so for example, say Glenn with his cut print of King Kong wanted to show it to a lot of people. He could have, you know, paid a lot of money in advertising to get things on the radio and the newspapers, and rented a theater to show it in,
right,
and hired people to run the theater while he was there. And in the end, he could have maybe reached an audience of a couple 100,000 if he had kept it running long enough, and he had sunk enough money into advertising it and had a lot of people come and see it. But it would have cost him, like, you know, a lot. And now it's almost free to start. You know, it's almost free. A few hundred or maybe a couple $1,000s is about all the investment that you need to make in equipment,
right,
to get something like this, or like online, yeah, you know, with people looking at it, yeah. Because the architecture's been built by other people and made available for free or very little cost.
Right. Yeah, and you know, talking about you know, people doing stuff like that on 16mm film. Okay, so that was 20 years ago.
Uh-huh.
So what has changed in 20 years is the quality of the toys. You know,
uh-huh,
really, it's, you know, so that it's better and it's cheaper and it's in everybody's hands. So what are people going to do with it is kind of the question. I think, yeah, you're right about you know, there's going to be more and more amateurs who are making their own movies and who are doing all that kind of stuff.
That was like Francis Coppola's prediction, wasn't it?
Yeah. That the technology would become available, yeah, and that goes right into the hands of people. So
he had his mythical fat little girl in Iowa or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is not really. I mean, that's happening now.
Yeah, and that's like, especially in the independent film world, it's always it's like usually a pretty good movie, but it came out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. You know, just somebody had an idea to do it and they did it. Mm-hmm. But even that, you know, it's always the question of to what end, you know, because it always gets you a little attention at a film festival, and you may win some awards, and you may feel great about it, and maybe that's its own reward in itself. But I think a lot of people still have the, you know, the pie in the sky dream of, you know, because look, this is all available to us, and look at how many people looked at it, and you know.
But I think the hurdle to get over with conceptually for the person who's doing creation in that kind of way is to stop thinking about making a killing. Because you have people like and this is going to be a little bit of a backtracking on that, because these guys are fairly famous now, but they're not really, you know, making a ton of money the way that you think, you know, you would. But you have like Richard Linklater or Robert Rodriguez, or these guys who decided to they made a splashy beginning, you know, and since then have decided they're going to make their own movies their own way, on their own time, in their own city, you know, so they don't do it the way, you know, like, and they don't make a fortune, but they make a living, like a good living, you know, and the movies don't get seen by everyone in the world, but they get seen by a lot of people. And the way film itself is changing, where now more people see films on DVD than they see them in actual theaters and stuff. The distribution of that is actually different now, so that you can make a film, have it never really get seen in many theaters at all, have it come out on DVD, and still a larger audience will see that movie than maybe would have seen it 20 years ago if it had a wide release, you know? So you just have to get over, I think, the dream of making it big. You watch a lot of the behind-the-scenes features on since we were little. You know, I know we've both watched those, but the ones on the King Kong, the ones surrounding the recent Peter Jackson King Kong, I think were it started me really realizing where it was like, it's not so much that the movie is the greatest movie in the world, it's not so much that they're doing things that are the most exciting or innovative, but just watching those things, seeing the day-to-day process and people watching, and it's like, that's the way I want to live my life. You know what I mean? Like, that's that's the way I want to work. I want to work in groups like that, in that manner. And I think if that's the thing you can realize, instead of trying to make it big, instead of trying to make a lot of money, and just figure out a way to set your life up so that you can work in that fashion, like that you can work day to day in a fashion that you enjoy, you know, and have enough money to live off of it with that. That's really...
And it's not to say that even great professional opportunities might not come your way. I mean, you know, it's totally is possible that you could get noticed for something that you put together, and then somebody would say, all right, what else have you got? What else do you want to do? You know, that happened with the South Park guys, where they just kind of made that stupid little, you know, Christmas thing for some friends, and then it got around, and people said, well, these guys are good, let's give them. But the thing is that they had the talent to back it up, and obviously they've been, you know, they've produced features, and South Park is still on, and so they had the talent and the drive, and it was just that their entry, it wasn't the old thing of, you know, oh, I know somebody in the business who'll, you know, who'll get me in. It was, I'll do a thing to get noticed. And they did. You know, so we're talking about this is all media-based. You know? And I wonder, then, is that same kind of amateur approach with better toys? Do you see it happening anywhere else, like in the field of medicine, or do you see somebody building their own electric car?
And well, like the difference, and this was a thing that Bruce Sterling was a science fiction author. He started a design movement, or what he's tried to make a design movement. It still sort of exists, but I don't know to what degree you can say it was a really, you know, a big movement. But he was calling it Viridian. Like, his idea was that you had to make green technology sexy and expensive. It needed to be made so that rich people wanted it, and because it was his observation that less well-off people, the middle class in general, always covets whatever the rich have. And so if the rich really wanted these things, then everybody would want them, and then it would just sort of happen, you know. And so his whole thing was to not, like, to go against the instincts of what most green thinking was like, which was sort of kind of a self-flagellating hair shirt kind of thing of, oh, we're fucking up the environment, and I just swore. Oh, we'll have to edit that out. We're messing up the environment, and we're everybody's got to cut back on everything. We have to use less. You know, we have to be more. You know, and most people don't want to use less and cut back. You know what I mean? Like, most people want to move forward and use more. And so the way is to figure out ways to enable the more energy efficient, cleaner technologies that enable people to move forward and use more. Do you know what I mean? Like that to enable them to expand the sphere of their lives more than contract it, which is where I think the old green philosophy sort of was always tending back towards like some sort of idyllic agrarian time that never really existed, but seems to be what people think is a more ideal way of living. You know?